And we're starting right away with exclusive material. On the night before Monday, Russia threatened to launch an RS-24 Yars missile, supposedly under the guise of exercises. And in terms of destructive power, this very Yars could even rival Putin's little nut, which he constantly boasts about in public. In other words, the infamous nuclear blackmail from the bunker dweller continues. So why didn't the Russians go through with the launch? And also exclusively, who commands such maneuvers in the enemy's lair? And why? Could the launch of the Yars have been fatal for terrorist Russia itself? More on this coming up.
Russia was unable to carry out the launch of the Yars intercontinental missile. There are far more of these Yars missiles in Russia's arsenal than the infamous Putin's little nuts.
Yars. Well, let's put it this way. It's produced in mass serial production. Oreshnik, on the other hand, is an absolutely unique experimental model.
Despite Russia's plans to conduct a training and combat launch of the RS-24, Yars intercontinental missile, on the night of May 19th, there were no signs of an actual launch, according to the military publication Defense Express. This is not the first time that Russia has made threats but failed to launch the Yars. In 2023, the missiles failed to launch twice.
Clearly, the Russians are bluffing with the Yars. The idea that, for technical reasons, they couldn't launch a missile that's on combat duty is just unrealistic. Simply unrealistic.
The day before, the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine announced that on the night of May 19th, the Russians were planning to conduct a training and combat launch of the RS-24 Yars intercontinental ballistic missile. The purpose of such a launch is demonstrative pressure and intimidation of Ukraine and its European partners.
Initially, they did everything to intimidate the Ukrainian people. That is, they are, bluffing. This is purely an informational and psychological operation. To this, I would like to respond as follows. I am addressing the regiment commander, the division commander, the army commander, Golovko Karakayev. Have you lost your minds? Have you not read your own Rocket Forces combat regulations at all? Do you even know what they are for? Or do you just want to ride around on scooters? After all, we know where the commander of the Nizhny Tagil division lives. That apartment hasn't changed for decades because it's equipped with special communication devices. We know a lot of things.
By flexing its ballistic muscles, the Russian Federation is making large enterprises legitimate military targets for Ukraine, and striking them could cause a complete collapse for the residents of a given region.
You have the city of Salavat in Bashkiria. You know what kind of production is located there. One drone has already arrived there, paving the way. What, do you want half of Bashkiria or all of Bashkiria to be poisoned? By Heptil. That's what you'll get.
And this is not the only blunder Putin has made ahead of negotiations with the American president, Donald Trump. The Security Service of Ukraine reports that it has destroyed the Russian Naval radar and warehouses on gas production platforms in the Black Sea using surface and aerial drones. It was a lively night in Jankoy today. According to local telegram channels, there was a strike on the airfield there. Another embarrassment for Russia is the boasting about the supposed capture of the village of Vilnopol in the Zaporizhzhia region. In the video that the Russians are bragging about, you can see an occupier waving the tricolor for a few seconds, after which he immediately retreats from the open area. However, our defenders added to this story and published a follow-up, showing how they eliminate the Russians from Ukrainian soil.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
But now, let's analyze the current situation on the blazing Pokrovsk front line. The situation here is, as usual, extremely tense. In the Pokrovsk direction, since the beginning of the day, Russian invaders have made 26 attempts to push Ukrainian defenders from their positions in the areas of the settlements of Mirolyubovka, Yelisavetovka, Alesovka, Udaknoye, Novosergevka, Troitskoye, Kotlyarovka, Andreyevka, and the side of the settlements of Zaraya, Nova Ukrainka, Staronikolaevka, Shevchenko-Pervaya, Novaya Poltavka. The defense forces are holding back the enemy's onslaught. 20 attacks have already been repelled, and 6 more battles are still ongoing. Meanwhile, the entire lineup of the formidable Magura naval drones, so threatening to the enemy, was finally presented in all its glory to the public at the main intelligence directorate of the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. Among them is the newest Magura V7, which, as practice has already shown, is capable of shooting down Russian Sukhoi jets right from the sea. We have prepared a special report, Roto, for you about these unique developments by Ukrainian weapons engineers. Let's watch.
Just a few days ago, they actually caused quite a bit of a stir. And now, a week later, the main intelligence directorate has revealed what they have actually been using to destroy Russians at sea for several months. The miracle weapon turned out to be the upgraded Magura V7 naval drone. It is currently equipped as follows.
As of now, 21 enemy targets have been destroyed. And that is a world record. This is the first time that 16 ships have demonstrated the capabilities of the aggressor country. Though now, they rest on the bottom of the Black Sea. 3 helicopters and recently 2 enemy fighter jets as well. The cost of just those 2 fighter jets is over $100 million.
At the same time, by unveiling the new drone, Ukraine's GUR has slightly lifted the veil on its capabilities. In 2 years of using naval drones, this has already become the 7th modification. It has increased payload capacity, speed and maneuverability, as well as improved stability on the water, which allows the Magura V7 to deploy its full range of weaponry even in sea conditions with waves up to both 3 points.
The Magura V7 is an entirely new version. Here we can see additional equipment. This equipment can be installed or left off as needed. It can be equipped with R-73 missiles of Soviet manufacture, which are shown here. It can also carry AIM-9 missiles. Turrets can also be installed. A radar can be installed as well. In other words, this is a multifunctional platform. You can upgrade it as much as your imagination allows. At the same time, it retains its primary function. And here is the warhead, which creates a hole about 1 to 1.5 meters wide in a ship.
The development of the new platform also focused on greater autonomy. The unmanned Magura V7 boat is capable of operating for at least 48 hours or up to 7 days if powered by a generator.
A completely different technological level of warfare and tactical use of the capabilities we have was demonstrated.
Thanks to the increased operating time, the range that the Magura can travel has almost doubled. And now officially, the drone can carry out missions anywhere in the Black Sea with a range of up to 1,500 kilometers.
The crews of Russian aircraft flying over the Black Sea, who now realize they no longer have any sense of security, yes, even if they don't see our weapons in their targeting radars, that doesn't mean those weapons aren't there. And it was precisely these weapons, these types of armaments, that targeted their aircraft.
Of course, the most high-profile operation to date involving the new Magura V7 drone remains the destruction of 2 Russian Su-30SM attack aircraft in the Black Sea. The head of the main intelligence directorate, Kirilo Budanov, revealed in an interview with the War Zone that 3 unmanned boats took part in the attack firing at the aircraft. At the same time, one of the Sukrus was killed while the other managed to eject.
It turned out that the Russians have neither detection systems nor proper means of engagement. In other words, the only way they can attack is to fly up with a machine gun and fire from it, or rather, from the aircraft cannon. They have nothing else.
At the same time, this operation will almost certainly make it into military textbooks. After all, this was the first time in history that a naval drone managed to shoot down a modern military attack aircraft.
What makes it unique? Well, truly, it's the fact that this is a remotely controlled surface system. Specifically, it's remote controlled. This is very important, which shot down a manned target If we talk about the cost price of the Magura, which is about $250,000 to $300,000, and the cost price of the Russian Su-30, which is $40 to $50 million, then you can calculate how many times cheaper the means of destruction was compared to the expensive target.
But analysts point out the issue here isn't even about the money, although the Kremlin repeatedly has problems with that as well. The main issue is the technology and production capacity, which in Russia have either been lost or are in severe shortage due to Western sanctions.
Every Su-30SM aircraft is worth its weight in gold. Component supply is hard to get by, bypassing sanctions. Moreover, Su-30SMs are not produced, or only in very limited numbers.
It is worth noting that the new capabilities of the Magura V7 have completely changed the concept of warfare in the Black Sea. After all, if earlier drones mainly posed a threat to the Russian fleet, today it is no longer even safe to fly over the waters, and accordingly, it is impossible to control the situation.
Every time the Ukrainians launch an operation in the Black Sea, Russia faces a very difficult choice. What are they willing to lose? Oil and gas platforms, or for example some other installations in the Black Sea, or say their assets on the territory of Crimea? Because these unmanned boats can also carry drones. In other words, they're like mini aircraft carriers. Or maybe they'll have to lose another helicopter or a Su-30SM.
By the way, having seen the effectiveness of the 7th Magura model, the GUR has promised to ramp up their production, and they still have a whole sea of targets left.